Drinking Regalia is made possible in part by Bernina of Oklahoma City, providers of quality precision sewing machines. And by War Child Society, designers of native apparel, t-shirts, decals, and more. And by generous contributions from viewers like you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We got another great show for you today here on Making Regalia with me, Juaquin Lone Lodge, based here in Concho, Oklahoma, home of the Southern Cheyenne, Southern Arapaho tribes. Once again, we have none other than my brother here, Red Sky Whapeppah. How you been doing, Red Sky?
I'm doing quite well. Thank you for asking. It's very good to be here. I want to say hello to everybody watching at home, everybody out there at Turtle Island. Keep it real.
Yeah, how's the Kickapoo Nation? How are things going that way?
Oh, we're doing really, really good. We're getting ready to start harvesting cattails and start getting into our winter houses.
Right on, right on. You know, I think it helped you out that one year coming out there building an Indian home. You know, it's a pretty good experience. You know, I got to experience a different culture, you know, in all its essence and stuff. Plus, I got poison ivy pretty good that one time. So.
Yeah, he didn't quite understand what poison ivy was, but yeah, he found out.
Well, you know, I'm glad you're back on the show. We got a lot of people writing in, you know, like, you know, you're one of our, I guess, like, got a lot of fan base about you. But, you know, a lot of people writing in and want to say hi to you and, you know, the infamous Red Sky.
Well, hello, everybody out there. Hello. I'm glad you guys writing in. Keep sending letters, sending an email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Yeah, shout out to, you know, Cell Block 6, you know, I know they're writing in, you know, can't wait to hear from you again. So, right here, we're going to start, you know, today we've got a pretty good project. We're going to do roach spinners. This is kind of an icon piece for most dancers out there. If you dance like Northern Fancy, it's a grass dance, men's straight dance. This was, you know, the pinnacle of, you know, the head roach. This is part of like where you actually take two feathers and put them together, and the idea is to get them to spin. Now, I've heard a lot of stories about this. You know, one way is that a long time ago they had this idea about these roach feathers, and they would actually hand them down, you know, as far as like battles and stuff like that. And then they came to dance, and what happened was, you know, the story I heard is that these two feathers, when the wind hits them, it looks like two warriors kind of battling out, you know, back and forth. And that's kind of the story I've gotten, you know. And plus, you know, once you rock your head and you keep it in time with the beat, you know, the drum, and that's kind of the competition's point of view about that. Is that pretty much what you heard too?
Yeah, I just always was taught that you got to keep moving, keep your feathers moving, and you don't want to run around looking like a shark or something out there, just a stiff feather. So you want to have your feathers rotating.
Right, right. And you know, like what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna show you kind of the old school way of doing it. You know, I'm not gonna use like any plastics, you know, anything like that. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the base of it. You know, show how to create the base, and then from there, you know, you can take it and, you know, design it to whatever you want to. I've seen a lot of people use gold tacks, you know, silver tacks, kind of dress them up, or even fully beat them later on. You know, like those fully beater ones, you know, are pretty nice, you know, kind of give it a little heaviness to them. And I've also seen, you know, straight dance, they use kind of like metal, right? They use like, what is that, brass?
They use brass or German silver or nickel plated, but usually it's brass or German silver. But yeah, I prefer the leather, actually. So.
Yeah, no aluminum cans?
No, not today.
Not today. So what we're going to do is we got our original leather piece out here. We got it all drawn out in kind of our, what I use is a compass and a ruler or whatnot. We're going to get to that here in a minute. What I'm going to show you here is how we actually attach the little spindles to your eagle feathers. Now, if you see, you know, we're going to jump right into this. We have the stem of the eagle feather. And what I've already done is I've already cut right here, and so like inside of this, the stem is actually hollow. All of this is all the way hollow. That actually gave the bird, you know, a little bit more lift, and it was actually, you know, lightweight, and I think that's pretty much what it came down to. But what we're going to do is, since I already cut this out, you know, it has an opening like right here. This is where I'm actually going to put my spindle. And then what I also did is I actually made two marks, so I actually could put my needle straight through here. And what I'm talking about is a spindle. This is you can get at what most local what do you call those?
Your big box stores, they have them. They're usually a swivel, a barrel swivel. It's used for fishing.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I don't really fish too much. I'm not really a fisher. This isn't Dancing with Salmon.
Angler, I believe the word's angler.
Right. I don't know. It's like the only place in Oklahoma I don't really fish. But, you know, like, you know, these are awesome. You just want to get the real durable ones, because if you get the cheap ones, you know, it's kind of scary when you're working with eagle feathers. You don't want these to fly off, you know, hit the ground and whatnot. So I got some really good ones here. You know, these are pretty durable, pretty strong. And what I'm going to do is I've already cut this off, and I'm just going to place this right inside here. And then with my sinew and my needle right here, it's already been threaded. All I'm going to do is pierce the eyelet of the spindle. And once, dang it, I missed it. So I'm just going to take my needle, pierce through here, pierce the eyelet of the spindle, and come out the other end. Okay, so now what I've done, you know, is I pierced the eyelet, and I've also pierced like all the way through with my needle, and came out the other side of the feather. And what I'm going to do is just going to pull it through, and be very careful, and you see it comes all the way through. This way, my spindle is actually entwined, and if you pull it out, you can actually see the sinew is actually in it. And you pull it through, and all I'm going to do is, I've already knotted it on the back, and what I'm going to do is just wrap it. Wrap it, wrap it, wrap it. And you kind of want to get a good tension on here, and what this does is it actually gives like the base of this a little bit more stability. And from there, once I get to the very end, right about there, scissors please. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so what I've done is just going to cut this, and all I've got to do is split like my sinew and just tie it. And that way we get a pretty good knot. And plus, you know, since you don't want this to fall off or anything, we're going to do straight knots. And I wish I had a little bit more thread. Gotta be real, like a surgeon. They should call me Dr. Lone Lodge. So, yeah, all I'm doing here is just tying a knot, and tie another knot, and then tie another knot. And then usually burn your sinew, don't you?
Yes.
That kind of like secures the knot and kind of melts it and whatnot.
I don't have a lighter. I recently quit smoking.
Okay.
So what JR's doing again, he's just knotting it up. He's tied a single knot, and he's a single knot on top of that. Just kind of repetitive. You want to make sure you secure your swivel to the feather.
Okay, so now what we've done, we got both these feathers ready. They're dressed up, you know, they're sinewed out, and, you know, like I got my my swivels attached internally. So these are pretty good, you know, they're gonna last pretty good, you know, like Red Sky was saying, you know, we kind of want to change these out every year because, you know, sometimes like the sinew from dancing and stuff like that, and humidity, depending on where you're at, sometimes it'll start to stretch out, and then, you know, once it does, you know, it could actually snap the sinew internally. So, you know, always check those, you know, like, you know, I would say I'm kind of like real freaked out about it, so I'll probably check them maybe like every 3 months or something like that. Just kind of take a little glance over, see if they're dried out or anything like that. And you can kind of tell the sinew starts to dry out because it starts to turn like kind of white looking and, you know,
pale.
Yeah, once you see that, you know, you can tell like it's going to lose its structure to like the sinew. So now what we're going to do is we're going to construct the base of the actual spinner. And what I've done, let me move these out of the way, is I got my raw hide, and at the top what I've done is I've already used my compass, and I tried to go as big a circle as I can. You kind of want to do this because once this goes on top of the roach, what it likes to do is, you know, you want to actually push the actual porcupine hair down, and you don't want a roach that just goes straight up. You kind of want one that spreads out. So that's what this circle is for. It's kind of the spreader of the roach. And then from here, you know, this is just kind of like the tail of the actual spinner. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach two bases here and drill 2 holes here, 2 holes here, attach the base in 1 hole directly in the center, and that's where we're going to put our actual spindles. And once we do that, it'll actually hold the feathers up. And then what we'll do is we'll create 2 bases, and that way the spinners will actually hold up to the feather, and the 2 warriors will actually fly, just like that, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so what I've done, you know, like this is a 4-inch circle right here. Down here is 2 inches all the way down, And the total length of this, I think we went with like, what, 10 inches?
Yeah, 8 or 10, I forgot.
Yeah, something to the fact, you know, it depends on what your characteristics are and what you want to do. Now, like I said, you know, previously, you know, I've seen all types of these. I've seen these ones, you know, just tricked out to the 9, fully beaded, you know, but this is just the old school basic way to actually how to do this, you know. This is, I pretty much how they used to do it a long time ago, as long as they didn't have drills like we do, but, you know, it's going to kind of cut a little corner there. But I'm going to throw some of my brother, like let him cut out some leather.
All right, well, I'm going to just try and cut a straight line as possible. Who knows?
Safety first, as always.
And watch your fingers. If you like your fingers, watch them.
So, Rich Guy, what you been up to these days?
I've started going to school for a culinary program.
Oh, yeah?
Here in Oklahoma City, so I like that. I'm having a great time.
Right.
Big shout out to Francis Tuttle Technology.
Right on.
So I'm getting involved in baking. I've gone through Skills 1 and Skills 2, so
Right on.
I mean, I'm enjoying myself. So
School's always fun.
yes, it is. It's quite fun. Actually,
You got any pals you're thinking about hitting up here in a little bit?
school's taking up all my time. It's Monday through Friday, so
Oh, man.
yeah, it's part of it. I mean, I can always go pals later on next year.
Yeah.
But I think about heading down to San Antonio and Houston because they're like little 2-day pals.
Yeah.
And, it's a lot of fun down there, more fun than usual.
So, like, on your head roach, which ones do you use? Do you use, like, the spinner, and what kind of metal do you use metal on yours?
Oh, no, I have rawhide.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Just kind of like the same thing we're working
No,
with, right?
this is Latigo, but yeah, I have rawhide.
Oh, yeah.
It's a similar pattern. I mean, it took me like maybe an hour and a half to construct mine. It's just, you know, basic same. I'll bring it up next time so we can check it out, look at it. Yeah, I had rawhide, and I still need to paint it or something, put some designs on it. Wow, almost forgot my finger. This is creating a crazy shape.
Okay, so now what we've done, you know, we've got our base all cut out, you know, it's ready to rock, you know, it's almost done. You know, of course, we're going to attach actually the spindles and also the, like, what would you call this? I mean, I would just call this a cylinder, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to make this as an old school cylinder. What I've done is I've cut this 2 inches in height and then 4 inches in length. Gives me a pretty cool little rectangle. Now, what they used to do a long time ago, you know, like I guess back in the old days, is they used to actually put this together and interlace it with sinew, and that way, you know, you kind of get your spindle shape. Today is kind of modern, and I guess we're a little bit lazier today. I'm going to use a drill. So this way I'm just going to drill my holes in there, and that way I can lace it up and knock this out real quick. I'm also going to cheat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on top of each other, and I'm going to drill them all at once so I can have both of them done at the same time. That's kind of a trick my grandpa taught me a long time ago. So what I did is put that right there, take my drill, and you want to do this right on your mom's coffee table, because she'll be so proud of you working with leather and stuff like that. I know our director here really loves me working on his tables. Yeah, one more for good measure. All right, got my holes all the way through. Now, you might want to, might be saying, well, how does he do it on the other side and give him a match up? Well, what you'll do is just take the other one and just actually match them up on the other side. And that way you can kind of see, if you match these right up when you put them together, this will match up perfectly and align on the other side.
That's very smart.
I think I am sometimes. And what I'm doing is just kind of eyeballing it. Now you could go all professional and maybe use a measuring device, but here on the show we like to keep it. What is it? Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
All right. Just measure this up and put this back on the other one. Here's another trick. What I'm gonna do is put it on top of there, get the same holes.
Very tricky.
I know. Ta-da! Instant lacing. Now all we gotta do from here, just take this, Lace this here. Come on, needle. Now imagine back in the old days, way back then, you know, this was pretty difficult. Plus finding needles, you know, I remember what they used to use, bone, right?
Yeah, that was like before 1700s, 1600s, but yeah, they used bone awls.
Yeah, that's pretty wicked. You know, today, you know, it's just the creature comforts actually having metal and actually having like, you know, like actual like scissors and stuff like that. I don't know if we could do it making regalia old school. You know, that'd be kind of cool though. But man, it'd be painstaking.
Well, actually, I mean, that's one of the main trade items they had. Not only did they trade blankets and other various items, they also traded mirrors, scissors, needles, and thread. Actually, that was one thing they quite traded for.
Yeah, yeah. But I imagine like the needles was like major when it came out there. It's the Indian people because you know they've been using bones for so long. This was awesome. This is like, you know, this was the bee's knees, as they would say.
They were highly prized.
Okay. So what I'm doing, I'm just lacing this up, just like so, and I'm just gonna go up to the next hole and just lace that one up, and to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So if you look closely, you know, right here, what we did is we interlaced it with our sinew. Now, we don't actually have actual sinew. You know, a lot of like, you know, in Powell stores and stuff, they sell synthetic sinew. This is actually derived from tendons and stuff like that from animals. A long time ago, they, you know, once they have a butcher or stuff, they would take the tendons and, you know, it's so durable that they made their own thread from them. And that's usually how they used to bead a long time ago. That's because there was no, you know, Hobby Lobbies back then in the day, you know, on the prairie. But that's how they got their thread was, you know, through like tendons and whatnot. And they would dry it out, whatnot, and create like, you know, their own thread. Today, you know, we have something similar to it, synthetic sinew, right?
Yes, it's pretty much the same as dental floss, actually. You can, back in the old days, they would get the sinew off the backbone, off the spine, and sometimes along the leg, but, you know, I mean, majority of it come off the spine.
Right. And, you know, it's a pretty tedious way just to get, you know, if you think about it, just to get like an actual thread. You know, this kind of project here, it's kind of old school. We kind of make it kind of like an old original style. You know, we're not using any plastics or anything like that. I've seen people use PVC pipes,
Pill bottles.
Yeah, pill bottles. You know, just about anything I've seen, you know, like
the old school little film canisters, 35 millimeter.
Yeah, I've seen tent poles, you know, chopped up, you know, like those are the last minute jobs. You know, here on Make It Regalia, we don't do anything like that, you know.
Never.
No, we always think about all our products before we actually make them here.
We plot it out, we plan it out.
Yeah, we didn't think about this before the show. We just,
no.
This is weeks in preparation, but what we got here. So there's several different ways that you can attach this, and this one way is pretty easy way. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna drill like 2 holes here, 2 holes here, and then I'm gonna drill 2 holes on the side of here. And that way what we're gonna do is we're gonna run a loop all the way through it, go through the eyelid of the feather, and when you want to, you can take them apart. Now I've seen people attach these permanently, and you know, they'll actually tie a knot here and tie it underneath, tie the base, and what they'll do is untie it, and then the 2 cylinders will still be there, but you can pop your feathers out. This way, you know, you can just untie it here, and then your spindles, your cylinders will go with you wherever.
When you go through there and you tie it every time, you can make sure you can check it as well. Make sure you don't want to drop your feathers. You know, you don't want to do that.
That is key.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, this is just another way to fail safe, double check your stuff.
Yeah.
And make sure your metal's not bent or anything like that.
Now, do you put a 5-year warranty on this like last time?
Nah, I mean, these ones, I change them about every year.
Right.
Because I don't want to drop a feather or anything like that. No.
Gotcha. So, like, what we're gonna do is we're getting back on to drilling. So now we're back. We got the base already drilled. What we're gonna do is now we're gonna do our cylinders. Now, kids back at home, you know, if you're gonna try this, you know, always get your, you know, like have your mom, dad watch you, or have them do it yourself, because you know you don't want to drill through your hand like Red Sky has done a couple times.
Or grandpa or uncle.
Yeah. Whoever's around, you know, just like don't want to pick up. You just don't want to pick up a drill and just start going for it. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do just a straight drill across. Like I actually want to do is just like drill here and drill here. That way I can thread it through. So I'm just going to eyeball this. I want to get it close to the bottom, but not all the way to the bottom. And just drill straight. Straight across. And do the other one. Okay, so now we got both of them drilled. Now the cool part is we're going to actually attach it. So we got our sinew, come through the bottom, come through here. And this is going to be kind of a cool little trick, you know, since you've got a lot of slack. That's why I did a lot of sinew. I'm going to pop this through. I don't know. And get my handy dandy eagle feather. Pull this through, and then insert through eyelet. Oh. Break it. Okay. Insert through eyelet, and then go through the other hole on the other side of the cylinder. And now we can attach it. Go through the hole and get my needle right. Just like that. Woo!
Very good.
So, but what I want to do, you know, I get scared, you know, like not too scared, but what I like to do is I like to double wrap this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this through, and I'm going to do it again. That way, you know, it doesn't fall off. But you know, if you want, I wouldn't advise it, but you know, I kind of just want to do it twice. That way, it's totally secure.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so we got the other one already tacked down. You know, like I said, you know, it's just one continuously loop. And what I did is I did it twice. That way, you know, it's totally pretty secure in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one more time because we've got one more cylinder to do. So all you got to do is put here, leave your slack, get your cylinder, go through the hole that you pre-drilled. Go up, grab your feather, pull this through, go through the eyelet. Just like so. And go back through the side. And back through here. Pull down. Bam. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it one more time just to make sure it's totally secure. And go all the way down to the bottom. Go back through the hole. Go back to the side. And I'm going to re-pierce the eyelet one more time. Now this kind of gets a little tricky after a while. You know, you got to really watch your sinew when you do this because it goes just about anywhere. But you got to show it to his boss.
You have to own the sinew.
Yeah. Be the sinew. Own the sinew. And back to the bottom. Now it's gonna look kind of gunked up at this point, but once you pull everything tight, and tie the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this in a double bow knot because I don't want this flying off or nothing. and cut the excess off. Bam. I see two warriors go at it.
That's very nice. Amazing.
Woo, woo. Ready for powwow. Look at that, grand entry. 5 minutes, ready to rock. Well, so that's our old school spinner that we have for today. You know, we didn't use any plastic, any tapes or anything like that. It's ready to go. I mean, I would say, you know, you could probably use some paint, you know, paint this thing up, use some eyelets, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, use some brass tacks, you know. Maybe do some design work on there.
Yeah, you could probably dye it up, you know, dye it like a dark brown or black or something. And then you can go back over and maybe bead it or something, you know. I mean, you can actually get some felt, outline it, and then just lace it through there, you know, on the sides. This is the basic model.
Yeah.
And you can take it anywhere you want from
there. This is the Model A, right? Yeah. And then so the other thing we need to do is, like, you know, depending on how you actually put your roach on, a lot of people use shoestrings. So, you know, you could probably drill, like, you know, 2 more holes up there for your shoestrings. That way it'll go through the roach. Or people actually use, a porcupine quill, right? So sometimes, say if you have a scalp block, you know, if you grow that long scalp block out and you have that braid and stuff, you know, you can pierce it through, and then all you got to do is drill 1 hole.
Yes.
And then, of course, sometimes you also have to do 2 more, you know, for your other, like, shoestrings on the back end. It just all depends on how you actually attach your roach. But this is our Model A, you know, old school, you know, real traditional style, you know. This is one for the books, you know. This could be in Smithsonian Institute.
Definitely.
But, you know, without further ado, you know, our Model A1 roach spinner is ready to rock and ready for grand entry. I want to thank everyone out there, you know, Powwow Land. I want to thank powwows.com for rebroadcasting our show, FNX out of San Bernardino, California. And to all our viewers out there, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hetchnah, Bethan, and Red Sky, you got any closing out things?
I just want everybody to be safe, have fun, keep it simple, and just enjoy yourself and enjoy your time on Earth. Thank you.
Making Regalia is made possible in part by Bernina of Oklahoma City, providers of quality precision sewing machines. And by War Child Society, designers of native apparel, t-shirts, decals, and more. And by generous contributions from viewers like you.